My son is a Wounded Warrior Project alumni. Right now, however, he is facing a new struggle: the senseless death by suicide of his battle buddy from his early basic training days. This specialist was, until his death, assigned to a very specific unit. His death is being investigated, so I'm told, but there is a suspicion by some that the culture, i.e., hazing practices within the unit, may have unleashed the demons that drove this young soldier to his death. Scuttlebutt is that he was recently demoted, but as I have written, that is just scuttlebutt. I know that suicide within our military and among our veterans is a very difficult issue. However, if there are conditions that are being permitted that could be responsible for a soldier's death, then those who condone such conditions should be criminally and civilly liable. Nothing will soothe the pain for this soldier's family, but please, those of you who are now holding the leadership roles at the Wounded Warrior Project, please make your WWP staff aware that their alumni will suffer again and anew when a buddy falls senselessly. Whatever resources WWP can put toward helping prevent suicide, aid those who suffer from another suicide, or help stop military cultures that breed such demons will be resources well spent. I cannot even begin to condone the practices of lavish retreats for senior staff of the WWP under the auspices of fired CEO Stephen Nardizzi. There are great entrepreneurial ways to lead and grow an organization, but there are also lines that cannot be crossed. Perhaps the WWP board will learn a lesson that a CEO of such an organization can be amazing at his entrepreneurial skills. However, if his heart is not first and foremost with the veteran who is alone, perhaps homeless, wounded, and living with daily pain, then he has no business at the helm of such an organization. Does the CEO need to be a wounded warrior himself? Perhaps not, but his heart must beat as one. And maybe the only way that is truly possible is if it is one. No one in any organization, particularly one built upon such esprit de corps and trust as the U.S. military, wants to believe that those in whom their trust is placed are so negligent, if not criminally abusive, of that trust. For a wounded warrior, such a revelation can shake to the core their faith in a brotherhood for which they have suffered and sacrificed a part of their lives and their health. Without answers and closure, such a shakiness can leave wounds open and slow, if not unable, to heal. Such wounds are not physical, certainly, but their effects can very easily be visible through physical symptoms. The connection here is twofold. First is my son's loss of his battle buddy, because someone in that soldier's unit was inconceivably negligent. Second is the inability now of my son to also trust WWP. The latter only serves to worsen the effect of the former. From such pain, bitterness can easily grow. I saw the results of such bitterness from many when I first entered the United States Air Force Reserve at the end of the Vietnam War. Since then, in my 40 years working in law enforcement, and in the last dozen doing ministry and trauma counseling, I have witnessed even more. As a retired chief of police, an ordained Baptist minister, a certified counselor, and a licensed private investigator, I probably have seen the filth from every possible angle. The variety of hats that I have worn, I hope, has left me with some wisdom that I may be able to share over time. One thing I do know for certain: if conditions in military units, such as the one involved with this soldier's suicide, are as the voices now are intimating, sooner or later that house of cards is going to fall, and the responsibility for the deaths of young soldiers driven by their demons to a point of no return will be but a partial cost that will be required of those who are holding the reins of leadership in that unit. The weight of such a fall will be inconceivable. The same accounting is at hand, apparently, for the Wounded Warrior Project, a cause that I supported even before my son entered the military. I continue to champion the cause for which WWP was built to uphold, but with what wisdom I have gained over my 60 years of life, I remind those who sit on the board and who will one day be hired to answer to it that the very lives of men and women who have heroically served this great nation and the lives and prosperity of their families lay within your hands. You may not share my faith, but I can assure you that there will be a day of reckoning, and you will answer for how you have served those placed in your care. Will you be able to look into their eyes, into the eyes of their small children, and honestly say that everything you did, every nickel you spent, was for them? Such responsibility, an old pastor once told me, comes with the chair. Are you absolutely sure you want to sit there? I am Dr. Ross Riggs, and I alone am responsible for this message.